Hi, so today I'm doing a book review of this book, which is Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. Giovanni's Room takes place in the 1950s and is mostly set in Paris. It tells the tale of the narrator David and his journey of self-discovery in a way. This looks at how David, who is either gay or bisexual, we are not quite sure, is grappling with his sexuality and is trying to come to terms with who he is and trying to find who he is, which is the reason he went to Paris to begin with. The book also looks a bit at David's family life from growing up and at his first homosexual encounter when he was a teenager. The bulk of this story takes place in Paris. David thinks he's in love with a girl called Hella, and while she's in Spain, he hangs out with a lot of different types of people and he starts to question his sexuality and starts to once again look at the idea that he might be gay. David starts a relationship with a man, Giovanni, and it's a very fiery and very passionate relationship. And David ends up moving in with Giovanni into his room because of complications with his money, and his father really wants him to go back to the United States, so his son continued living where he was living before. The relationship with Giovanni is very passionate and kind of dysfunctional, and it really centers around this idea that David is not quite 100% happy with who he is, and he hasn't accepted the fact that he likes men. He is very much in denial and he's very much repressed. So while Giovanni doesn't have the same kind of inhibitions, David is very much controlled in comparison. This novel looks at how David obviously deals with the situation where he loves Hella, but he's also having a relationship with Giovanni, and then Hella is going to be coming home and all the events that happen after she comes home. As well, David is burdened by this idea of home and this idea of the United States where he grew up, and how he doesn't really want to go back because he knows that his life there is very different from the life he leads in Paris, and Paris in a way signifies some sort of hope. David takes refuge in Giovanni and in Giovanni's room, but at the same time, after a while, he needs to get out of his room and he feels burdened by Giovanni and by Giovanni's room just as much as he had felt burdened by Hella and the idea that he had to be this heterosexual, manly man. So in my opinion, while Giovanni's room tended to be an escape for David, it also turned into a burden that he wanted to then escape. The book just looks at so many complex psychological issues behind David's denial and behind his feelings about his home and about Giovanni and about Hella, and it's just such a raw and emotional novel, and it's written in such a beautiful, beautiful way. I think even if the topic doesn't really interest you, I really think that this novel would be worthwhile just for the writing, because the writing alone makes this book a 5-star read. This novel might not be everyone's cup of tea. It definitely is very wordy, so if you want something that's more straightforward, you might not like this. However, if you like complex books with complex characters and really interesting relationships and family issues and father issues and issues with coming from a certain place that you just don't identify with anymore, then I think that you will find this a really worthwhile read. I don't think this review has done this book justice because there are so many ways that you could talk about this book and still not really convey the message properly. So I would say just pick it up and read it. Let me know if you've read Giovanni's Room, and also if you've read anything by James Baldwin. It was the first Baldwin I ever read, and I am very, very much looking forward to picking up his other books and reading them all as soon as possible. Bye!